In a time of crisis, politicians are supposed to move fast to garner public support and move the nation to alleviate the national crisis, but not these ones. These politicians are all about performance, all form, no substance, and today I'd like to talk about various reactions from some politicians in Indonesia in the face of a national disaster. So to put you to context, recently, storms rarely make landfall in Aceh, but the 95B cyclone seedlings intensified into tropical cyclone Senyar wreaked havoc in the Malaysian peninsula with major floods and extreme rainfall in the northern parts of Sumatra. The extreme rainfall over this caused a huge flood in various regions, sweeping away many villages and cutting off several settlements from each other. Expert sources blame the government's logging operation to be responsible for mass destruction because the forest couldn't absorb most of the water flow. But let's start off by talking about Zulkifli Hassan, the leader of the National Mandate Party. If we remember in 2013, Zulkifli Hassan was the Minister of Forestry and he was approached by a very angry Harrison Ford in a movie documentary about Indonesia's logging threatening the environment. In this movie, Zulkifli received a very epic dressing down from none other than Han Solo. Not long afterwards, Zulkifli began cutting down on the logging in a poor attempt to salvage whatever dignity he has left in him. Now, that movie scene returns with a vengeance as the algorithm pushes the video up to show that Zulkifli was involved in the logging. It doesn't help that if you look at the data, during SBA's tenure, when Zulkifli was the Minister of Forestry, Indonesia allowed a staggering number of 55 million logging concessions. So, as usual, Indonesians on social media put the entirety of the blame on Zulkifli Hassan. And to control the damage, bro actually went through different podcasts and even flew to Sumatra himself to get a photo op of him burdened with the pain of the people manifested inside a rice bag. Bro thinks he's Jesus Christ. It doesn't help that his underling, Veri Brahmasta from the People's Representative Council, actually came into the disaster zone wearing bulletproof vests. Bro, you're going to meet survivors of a huge flood and landslide. You're not gonna go fight the cartel. I honestly do not get the concept of why he consciously chooses to give himself a combat vest instead of a normal jacket or a rescue vest. Bro actually thinks he's going to fight river goblins or some shit. And yeah, he did make a statement about this, saying that it is a tactical vest, which allowed him to carry more equipment than usual. But it's clear to me, somebody who's been playing Call of Duty since I was able to hold a controller, that this part is a ballistic plate. And if he really wanted to carry equipment like I said, why not just use a normal vest instead? And please, don't get me started on Zulkifli's daughter, Zita Anjani, who chose sweeping a flood victim's house as her photo op. Netizens literally realized that she's sweeping less than 1 meter off the house. Like, what the f is she actually cleaning? What would you get from this photo op? You're just making yourself look like a bigger dumbass. It's just clear to me that these three politicians from the National Mandate Party, remember that guys, only care about the photo op and salvaging their reputation without any clear substance to the issue. And I'd like to highlight this because a few days later, they were spotted in a fellow party member's lavish wedding. Wow, for somebody who cares so much about optics, you guys are actually stupid. I expected less from the Machiavellian political operator, that is Zulkifli Hassan, who chooses career over responsibility, and that he's probably responsible for the disproportionate number of concessions during SBA's period compared to the 8 million concessions Jokowi's government made. But that doesn't mean that Jokowi's government is any good on this regard. A former Jokowi minister and now Minister of Forestry under Prabowo named Raja Juli Antoni is under flak right now. A few months ago, he was caught in the same picture with an illegal logger playing mahjong, a minister playing with somebody that he is supposed to arrest, that he is supposed to fight, is just very crazy to me. After getting caught while playing with a man who is supposedly his prisoner, the man didn't even f***ing resign. And yes, he's pretty shameless, because after all of this, instead of promising to control operations and preserve forests, he urges other ministers in the cabinet to repent their sins, to pay back against what Cak Imin said, and claims that only Allah knows which one is right or which one is wrong. Bro, let me break it to you. I don't think he really gives a fuck about what you do, but the court of public opinion does, and they think you've done a banged up job. At this point, I urge you to resign, man. Save your dignity and resign. It's obvious that you have no clue as to how to do your job as the Minister of Forestry. You literally have no experience dealing with forest. Literally, Jokowi could do a better job than you could ever do because at least he has a degree in forestry. An actual degree, not a fake one like everyone says. And again, reiterating the point that I made in my previous videos, this is what happens when you continue to put career politicians in positions of power. If you want to put a politician in power, at least put them somewhere where they are an expert in, or else they're just going to keep on being performative. Our politics of dividing spoils is not doing us any good in this country because these ministries we have in Indonesia require people that understand technique, not Machiavellians. And Prabowo's decision to make career politicians to people like Raja Juli and Zulkifli as ministers, and even using the Ministry of Forestry as a victory spoil. Look at them. There was a pattern. Zulkifli Hassan was the Minister of Forestry. He doesn't even know how to do the fucking job. And now Raja Juli is a minister of that ministry. And treating this like a victory spoil instead of an actual job does more disservice to this republic than any sort of service Prabowo claims. Mr. Prabowo, we are a presidential republic, which means that you are literally the most overpowered person alive in Indonesia. In theory, you managed to make an expert like Purbaya a minister, someone who takes their job seriously, and he's only doing the bare minimum. Stop being the largest stakeholder of this country and actually be the sole owner in practice. You know you could do it. So stop concerning yourself with common rabble politics and start actually concerning yourself with the matters of the state. We all know you don't trust political parties. I mean, look, you have Safri, the Minister of Defense, create 36 regional army commands. That's literally almost the same number as the entire province in Indonesia, meaning that you're trying to sidestep the civilian government because you don't trust them and you don't find them reliable. If you could do that, you can leverage your position to replace half the cabinet from these incompetents. Only you have the political will to make sure our country doesn't go to the moment us Zoomers take over it. Because honestly, I'm sick and tired of seeing these performative politicians go up and do nothing of the sort, only getting their positions because they are politically relevant. And not only that, these politicians have the gall to make donations into a dick measuring contest by attacking Veri Brahmasta's donation efforts. Bro, your civilians are trying to make your job easier by helping out and you're trying to gatekeep them. How could you be so stupid? How could you gatekeep free help? That's the most idiotic thing I've ever seen from a politician. Go resign. I think nobody should be in that position where they are because of politics, because we have different channels to reward political support, like literally just granting direct access to the president of Indonesia. Power is so divided in Indonesia that power here is so cheap and everybody has it. Rewrite the rules of the game, Mr. President, or we're just gonna keep on ourselves up in the ass for the next 30 years. If you enjoy this content, please join my Discord server. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and leave what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.